Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I want to thank everybody for being here at today's Interagency Coordinating Council on Youth Services public hearing. I'm Andrew Miller, Assistant Commissioner for External Relations here at DYCD. And again, on behalf of Commissioner Howard, I want to welcome you and thank you for coming. Commissioner Howard has another meeting, but he plans on popping in a bit. As you know, the ICC is a New York City charter-mandated council that brings together the City of New York's youth-serving government agencies for the purposes of collaboration and partnership. So we look forward to hearing from the public directly, especially our young people, on the many thoughts they would like to share. All our 22 ICC member agencies are here with us, and they will introduce themselves shortly. Commissioner Howard has always made a strong commitment to collaborate where possible with our government partners in a systemic way. Mayor Adams has made his youth agenda a top priority and has tasked DYCD and our supporting agencies with carrying it out. We are confident that by utilizing the City of New York's resources, partnering with one another and you, we can make a difference. So I want to actually start at the end for the members to introduce themselves. I guess we'll pass the mic down.
Good afternoon, Carolina Hoyos, Senior Director of Caregiving Support at the New York City Department for the Aging.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kamara Lucius, Program Coordinator at the Mayor's Office to End Domestic and Abuse Violence.
Hello, Sandra Sanchez, FDNY Community Affairs.
Good afternoon, Pedro Zapata, Program Implementation, Department of Health and Mental Hygiene.
Hello, Eric Polino with the Department of Social Services, Homeless Services, and HRA.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lori Cavall. I'm with the Department of Cultural Affairs.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jay Liu. I'm part of the Office of Community Support and Wellness, part of New York City Public Schools.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Colleen Doherty from ACS Interagency Affairs.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nikki Alexander. I'm with the Department of Environmental Protection.
Good afternoon, my name is Shamira Gambrell. I'm the Acting Associate Commissioner for Juvenile Operations at the New York City Department of Probation.
Hi everyone, I'm Yosunek Sorengo. I'm the Manager of Teen Programs at Brooklyn Public Library.
Hello, I'm Christiana Parrish. I'm the Coordinator of Teen Services at Queens Public Library.
Hi, I'm Mariah Lasari. I'm the Community Coordinator for the Community Affairs Bureau.
Good afternoon. My name is Cecilia Williams. I'm the Director of Interagency and External Affairs for the New York City Law Department Family Court Division.
Good afternoon. I'm Christina Luna. I'm with New York City Parks and Recreation. I'm the Director of Citywide Youth Programs.
Hello, everyone. I'm Audrey Washington. I'm with New York City Housing Authority. I'm the Director of Office of Public-Private Partnership.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yunji Hong. I am a coordinator with the Young Adult Programs and Services Department at the New York Public Library.
So before we take public testimony, we're very pleased to be joined with the New York City Civic Engagement Commission. Come on up for your presentation.
Thank you all. It is great to be here. It's a pleasure to present the work that we do to all of you. I am Alexis Spencer from the New York City Civic Engagement Commission. I'm a program evaluator. So we'll pull up our slides so that we can get started. Awesome. And I'm going to pass to my colleague, Lucy.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Hope all is well. I also hope everyone got to enjoy their Thanksgiving breaks and reflect on everything that you have to be grateful for. I know for me, part of those things is the work that we are doing at the Civic Engagement Commission, as we are already underway our third cycle of the People's Money. To introduce myself, my name is Kwesi Jimin. I am the Community Projects Manager placed at the Civic Engagement Commission as part of my service here with AmeriCorps. You heard the project evaluator Lexi speak momentarily ago, and now I will bring up Hillary Corelli Donnell, who is our program director for PB.
Hi everyone, thanks Equazi. My name is Hillary Corelli-Donnell and I'm the Program Director for the Civic Engagement Commission's People's Money process, which is the first citywide participatory budgeting process here in New York City. And I'll hand it back to Equazi.
So today we'll briefly go over what the Civic Engagement Commission's work is all about. We'll talk about the People's Money and how youth were critical to the inception of that initiative. And we'll also discuss ways in which we'd like to collaborate with other city agencies in this work and just get more people involved.
Thank you. So just to start out, a little bit about who we are at the New York City Civic Engagement Commission. So the NYCCEC, as it's also known, is the first democratically elected commission that is responsible for restoring civic trust and strengthening democracy in New York City. That we do through promoting inclusive civic participation for all New Yorkers. We run a total of 4 different programs. The first of which we're going to be focusing on today, is the People's Money, a citywide participatory budgeting process. But we also work on issues such as voter language assistance. We have a program surrounding the People's Bus, which is a bus that we transformed into a community space and use for events and outreach. And then we also provide assistance to community boards across the city. We're going to play first a quick video that just talks a little bit about the work that we do for the People's Money.
Hi, I'm Hayden, the Special Projects Manager at the New York City Civic Engagement Commission. Let's dive into the world of direct democracy and participatory budgeting in New York City. So, what is participatory budgeting, or PB as we say for short? PB is a way for ordinary residents to decide how to spend part of a public budget, which is why we like to call our citywide process the People's Money. PB began in Brazil in the 1980s, and since then it has spread across the globe, including to New York City. In 2011, 4 city council members brought this exciting process to their city council districts, where residents of that district could decide how to spend funds in their neighborhood. Fast forward to 2022, when the Civic Engagement Commission launched a citywide participatory budgeting process, where anyone aged 11 and up can participate, as long as you live in the city.
Awesome. So now that you just have a little bit of background about what participatory budgeting is, I'm going to recap again the different phases that we run through. So like my colleague Hayden said in the video, PB runs through 4 phases. The first is idea generation. That's where residents across the city can submit ideas for projects that they want to see in their neighborhood and solutions to challenges that they find and see in their community. The next is the borough assemblies. During that phase, we have assembly committees of randomly selected residents get together and talk about needs and problems and put together recommendations of which of all the projects that we receive should go on a ballot. Then that transfers into the voting period, where anybody over the age of 11 can vote on those projects. The winning projects are then funded and implemented in phase 4, which is project implementation. So just to kind of give you a look into what we're doing, last year we implemented a total of 46 projects in communities across the city. This year we're working on 20 projects, and we'll get into a little bit about what those projects look like shortly.
So, youth-driven process, right? The first iteration of the People's Money essentially was called It's Our Money, and it was a pilot process that we ran in 2020 with the help of Coral New York. And essentially with that initiative, there was a needs assessment that was conducted by Coral's Participatory Budgeting Youth Fellows, who held 32 conversations with over 230 youth. And across these different conversations, they were able to identify the top needs in areas of mental health, college and career readiness. Wait, is there someone else speaking? I'm sorry.
You know what, I'll try.
All right, so to pick off, the first iteration of this was a youth pilot that was possible through a partnership with Coral Youth NYC. And essentially, they conducted a needs assessment where they held 32 conversations with over 230 youth. And they were able to identify the top needs in mental health, college and career readiness, as well as youth advocacy. And ultimately, 49 youth-serving organizations submitted project ideas. Over 2,000 youth voted on these ideas, 91% of them identifying as people of color, and the top 5 projects receiving the most votes were awarded $20K each for implementation.
Right now, there are approximately, 34 participants
So,
waiting to hear something, and we don't hear from you or from anybody at this point.
yeah, who else?
This is Angela, Lisa Paul, 201-921-5158. Thank you very much.
I don't want to take off your.
So I guess you will.
All right, so hopefully you guys can still focus. No, all good. So as it's our money, that initial process evolved into the citywide participatory budgeting process that we know now. As the people's money grew, we essentially still saw the importance of youth voice, participation, as well as service. And with that, we partnered with youth service boards such as WIBO, United Community Services, Inspiring Minds, The Door, and Nightbird to not only host idea generation sessions for you, but to implement the winning project ideas that were primarily focused on providing youth services. In this year as well, as we build with youth in mind, we've also partnered with Ideas 42 and the New York City Behavioral Design Team within the Mayor's Office of Economic Opportunity to make sure that we're able to further increase our engagement of young adults 18 to 24 within our idea generation phase. And this is done through partnership with various student focus groups and colleges across NYC. And we also partner with DOE Civics for All teachers to design specific idea generation sessions to make sure we're able to reach our students within the public schools. So on the screen, you'll see 2 quotes that really embody the youth experience with PB. One young adult said, "When I was given this opportunity, it was automatic. This is my chance to have a say in something that could benefit other people." Another young person said, "From that experience, I feel so much more like a New Yorker and want to keep pursuing this because I can see how change happens." As my colleague Lexi mentioned earlier, part of our role with the CEC is not only to facilitate the citywide process, but to restore public trust within government, as well as encourage engagement with government. So, implementing the people's money for youth. So as I mentioned earlier, we are currently underway our third process, or third cycle for this process. Last year's process saw 49 winning projects. 38 of those 49 projects were focused on youth, with the top needs being in education, mental health, and career development. For this year's process, the 20 winning projects, 14 of them are focused on youth. Again, we're seeing the top needs in education and career development again.
Colleagues were in person and
So currently, as we are in the middle of implementing those 20 projects, we just wanted to take an example from the 46 projects that were implemented last year and highlight a little bit about what kind of work they did, who they served, where, and what were some of the outcomes of that project. So one example was a project that was titled Youth Life Skills Workshops. This project focused on providing workshops in topics such as restorative justice, college and career access, financial literacy, conflict resolution, and sexual violence prevention. Through this project, we partnered with an organization called the Kingsbridge Heights Community Center, which ended up engaging over 1,700 students in more than 700 workshops over the course of the year surrounding these topics. And one of the outcomes that we found through their reporting to us and through our work with them was that they found that over 89% of the people who participated in these workshops at the end of them really enjoyed them, found them important and meaningful to their lives, and they also reported a willingness to participate again and to recommend these types of programs to their peers. This is really relevant because it shows not only that there is a great need for these things as surfaced through the PB process, because, right, this is a community-driven process. All of these ideas come from residents, they come from New Yorkers, they come from people who see problems in their communities, and they are voted on then on a ballot by anybody who lives in the city over the age of 11. So just to kind of highlight and showcase the importance of these projects, both from the perspective of people who are participating in the larger PB process, but also for the people who are impacted in the communities where the projects are implemented. And next up, I'm going to talk about a little bit of what we have coming up in 2025 so that you can get a sense of what we're working on right now and in the near future. So in 2025, we have 20 projects, as we've said, that will be funded anywhere between $150,000 to $200,000, depending on the borough. Within that, we have 5 projects in the Bronx, 5 projects in Brooklyn, 5 in Queens, 4 in Manhattan, and 1 in Staten Island. The projects focus on a wide range of topics and needs and issues, such as health and well-being, accessibility, career development, education, public safety, and arts and culture. And there's a lot of overlap between these needs. So some projects may actually end up impacting several different issue areas. And I'm actually going to give a little spotlight on some of the projects that we have implemented. So of the 20, there are 14 that specifically focus on youth. And to just kind of like name a few so that you can get a sense of what kind of work we do with our partners. One of the projects that will be implemented in Brooklyn, for example, is called Path to Success, Positive Money Habits. This focuses on financial wellness, financial empowerment, and financial literacy. We also have a project in Queens called Connectivity Program for Seniors. This is actually an intergenerational program that will focus on connecting youth to older adults and working on bridging those gaps. We also have a project called Self-Defense Education for Women in Manhattan that will focus on providing self-defense education to young women in Washington Heights and Inwood. As well as, finally, just to shout out one more program, which is the Creative Mental Wellness Program for families with children in the Bronx. So that program will focus on using creative strategies to help people with issues related to mental health and mental wellness.
So across our 20 winning project ideas for this year, we will have 19 implementing partners. Again, to name a few, I'm sure some of you guys in this room may recognize a few of them. United Activities Unlimited, Elite Learners, Center for Justice Innovation, Change Food for Good. These are all local organizations who will be implementing some of the projects you saw before. And we'd like to partner with other agencies as we look to optimize our process to make sure that the winning ballot projects really address the root challenges that birthed them in the first place. So, to name a few areas we're looking to collaborate with other city agencies on, one is definitely project scoping. We're looking to collaborate with other agencies alongside our borough assembly committees to make sure that we are shaping our ballot project ideas to better align with the stated needs of the community. We also want to partner with city agencies who are operating with the same providers and in the same areas as us, so that we are making sure that we're working with them to improve their capacity. Part of what we're trying to do is also make sure that local entities that may not have historically received light from government, they essentially are within the conversation as well, because they do this work on a day-to-day basis, and they do need to be supported within that. So how can we, across different agencies, if we're doing the same sorts of services, align and better improve their capacity? And then as city agencies yourselves, if you're looking to improve your democratic processes, we would love to work with you to facilitate a citywide participatory budgeting process for any one of your initiatives, if that's something you're interested in. So definitely reach out to us if you are, and thank you. Thank you for your time. If you'd like to get in touch with us, here's our contact information.
Yeah, please feel free to take a photo if you want to grab the contact information or jot it down.
Yes, and then we've passed around some zines which showcase some of our projects from previous years. So definitely take a look at that when you get a chance. But this is a start to the conversation. We don't want it to end here. And so I'm definitely looking forward to receiving some inquiries or requests or just anyone who wants to talk or connect on this moving forward. So thank you again.
So before we take testimony, first just want to thank the ICC co-chairs, Tracy Thorne and Samantha Dawkins. Thank you for all your work. And of course, we have the fabulous Paula Calvi. I think she has a sign. And Celinda Wu. And I also want to introduce members of my team. So the commissioner recently created the Office of Intergovernmental and Public Engagement. And I just want members of my team to stand up and be recognized. And I guess we'll begin as soon as we get to figure out the technical issues. All right. I'd like to call Nina, now if I screw up your name, I apologize. Ugwumo from, is she here?
I'm here.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
Please, yes.
All right, hi everyone. All right.
Is the mic on?
Hello. Hello? Yes, perfect. All right, perfect. Hi, everyone. So my name is Nina Ugwumo, and I'm the founder and CEO of Student Dream. And so we are a financial education nonprofit that has spent the last 10 years working to train Black and Hispanic students across the city and the greater New York City to build wealth. And so it's been really fun. You know, most students struggle with money, and so we've created courses and content all around personal finance, investing, and entrepreneurship so that students can learn how to financially thrive before, during, and after graduation. And so what that's looked like has going into universities, going into high schools, going into community-based organizations with our Money Matters program, our Student Investors Club program, our Music and Money program, just to get their minds thinking about what does financial health look like for me? What does it look like to have a vision, not just for my money, but really for my life? And it's been really fun to see students begin to build their credit, begin to open investment accounts, and see how much of a difference investing $20, $100 a month can make. Really just helping students figure out, okay, if my skill is actually writing, how can I actually monetize that through writing a book or creating my first podcast? So it's been really fun to do that, and our goal going into 2025 is really just to partner with more universities, more high schools, more organizations to make sure that every student really has the resources needed to get to their first dollar of wealth before, during, and after graduation. So would love to partner with the organizations here. If you have young people who want or need to thrive financially, we want to work with you all. And that is it for me. So thank you.
It's so great to hear this.
Yeah.
You know, the commissioner is deeply committed to financial literacy. It's actually embedded in our runaway and homeless youth services and our workforce development program. So I'd love to the opportunity to sit down with you and introduce you to our team on that.
All right, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have Alan Mantilla from the Civil Liberties Union? Followed by Alex.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alan Mantilla. I am a 12th grader at High School of Telecommunications, Arts, and Technology. I'm also an organizer with the NICLU Teen Activist Project. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to speak today. From the age of 11, I experienced repeated hospitalizations in psychiatric institutions, primarily at Rumsey on Staten Island. Winter was especially tough, and these hospital stays were often worsened by depression. The conditions were unacceptable: undertrained staff, mold on the walls, and shocking neglect. Some staff members displayed blatant racism, openly using slurs against patients. During COVID, my experience worsened. There was no structure, no activities, and I couldn't catch up on schoolwork. With limited options, my mom sent me to South Beach Psychiatric Center, despite its bad reputation, leading to 3 difficult months. The environment was traumatic: daily emergencies, staff threats of sedation, and a complete lack of compassion. We often had no choice but to fall in line and obey out of fear of being injected with a sedative, which is commonly used as punishment. One glaring issue is the lack of support for LGBTQ+ youth in psychiatric care. Many of us felt unsafe coming out, knowing the staff didn't care. This is unacceptable, especially since so many patients are part of the LGBTQ+ community. We need dedicated resources and trained mental health professionals who understand our unique challenges. Unfortunately, my experience in psychiatric center was not far too different from my experience as a queer student in school. I felt isolated when coming out in middle school, facing degrading comments and the lack of understanding from students and staff alike. School counselors often aren't equipped to handle the complex issues students face. We need more than just counselors. We need trained, specialized support for LGBTQ+ youth and others struggling with mental health. Funding for services geared towards LGBTQ+ students is necessary for our mental health. Improving staff training, providing structured activities, and creating inclusive, supportive environments can transform recovery experiences. Schools and psychiatric institutions must prioritize the safety and well-being of youth across the board. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your testimony. And you know, UICD is truly committed to the mental health needs of all young people in all of our programs, and so thank you for sharing your story. Alex?
Hi everyone, my name is Alex. I'm a leader and a policy manager at the New York Civil Liberties Union Teen Activist Project, and I'm also a neighborhood advisory board member at the Department of Youth and Community Development. Thank you all for coming, and thank you especially to the city representatives here today. I'm here to shed light on issues related to educational inequity and school segregation across our city. So as we know, racial segregation in public education has been illegal for 70 years. Yet New York City's public school system, the nation's biggest school system, remains one of the most segregated systems in the entire country by race and economic status. In my own school, LaGuardia High School, Black and brown students make up just under a third of my school's student population. At my middle school, Mark Twain Middle School, Black and brown students make up just 22% of the entire student population. Both of these schools incorporate rigorous audition processes and standardized testing into their selective audition processes and admission processes, further driving down admissions rates for underrepresented minorities. Research has shown time and time again that standardized testing continues to perpetuate both socioeconomic and racial disparities. During the pandemic, I had to prepare for my arts high school's theater audition without access to expensive acting classes or private monologue coaching like many of my peers had money for. These barriers exacerbate educational inequity through segregation within our public school system. Education should be a right, not a privilege. Desegregation efforts have been made to correct this long-standing issue. For example, in parts of the Upper West Side and Harlem, middle schools reserve spots for low-income students. Yet there is still more to be done for youth in our city. We must strive to uplift low-income children of color so that they do not have to work twice as hard to achieve the same amount as their white peers. And we must work towards public education and diverse and inclusive public schools as a right for all, regardless of race and economic background. In my neighborhood of Bensonhurst, a low-income neighborhood in southern Brooklyn, home to predominantly Chinese and Latinx immigrants, 28.5% of youth aged 18 and under live in poverty, according to the Citizens Committee of Children of New York. Support systems like community-based organizations and essential services funded by the DYCD help to alleviate the poverty faced by almost a third of the youth living in my neighborhood. Without the DYCD, the Community Services Block Grant cannot adequately fund immigrant services, community centers, and other important services to combat youth poverty. Serving as a neighborhood advisory board member at the DYCD has opened my eyes to the work the agency does for our low-income youth, and so long as the mayor continues to adequately fund the DYCD as advised by the City Council, youth living in poverty in Bensonhurst and other low-income neighborhoods can receive the services that they need to thrive. So to conclude, we need your support in desegregation efforts in our schools to support children of color and to continue adequately funding poverty relief services to uplift low-income children in New York City's neighborhood development areas. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you for your service. We're going to actually try to recruit you because we're going to do a campaign to recruit more young people to serve on the neighborhood advisory boards, and we need your help. Next, Melody.
Hello, my name is Melody Latham, and I stand before you as a student from a school without walls, and I'm also proud to serve as an activist with the New York Civil Liberties Union Teen Activist Project. Today I want to speak about an issue that impacts the lives of countless students in the city, the gross abuse of suspensions in our schools. Education is the cornerstone of childhood. It shapes not only our knowledge, but our futures as well. We all agree that school is essential, yet it is shocking that students of color, students with disabilities, and LGBTQ students are suspended disproportionately. This is an injustice that we can't ignore. Let's face the facts. Black and Latinx students make up 42% of all students, yet they account 71% of all students referred to the law enforcement. Additionally, students with disabilities were suspended 87% more than students in the general education population. This isn't just a statistic, it's call for change. Are we truly teaching our future leaders that suspensions are a solution? By implementing these harsh measures, we're disrupting education for many students, some even for our entire school year. Yes, you heard that right. In the state of New York, students can be suspended for up to 100 days. To illustrate this issue, let me tell you a story about a fellow classmate who was suspended for 3 days. During that time, she missed valuable instructions and returned to assignments that were not on her grade level. She felt scared and afraid and unsure of her wrongdoing as she was simply placed in a dark room, isolated from everyone. This devastating experience underscored their emotional turmoil caused by suspension. This is why now more than ever it's critical that we pass the Solution Not Suspension bill. This bill will promote the use of restorative justice in school and use suspensions as a last resort. By addressing behavioral issues through dialogue and understanding, and we can help students learn from their mistakes rather than simply punishing them. Training educators to adopt these approaches can make a more inclusive and supported school environment, allowing every student the opportunity to thrive and without the threat of disproportionary disciplinary action. We talk about equity in education for all students, yet these barriers continue to persist. It's time for all of us to unite and demand a meaningful change. Together we can dismantle this damaging system and ensure that all students have an equal opportunity to thrive. Let's rise for justice and and equity in our schools because every student deserves a fair chance to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Next, Eli.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Eli. I'm a sophomore at Harvey Milk High School, and I am a leader at the New York Civil Liberties Union's Teen Activist Project. I came out as transgender around 6 years ago now. As a transgender student, my experience in school has been difficult, to put it simply. My previous school was ill-prepared to host my queer identity, and this lack of support derailed my education. I withdrew from school as a whole because my privacy and safety felt threatened. Being whispered about and confronted with invasive personal questions by students and staff alike had distracted me from my studies. I wanted to learn, but I also had to focus on protecting myself. By contrast, my current school, Harvey Milk High School, is one of the safest places I have ever been in. Thoughtfully designed and customized for those who had previously struggled in school, Harvey Milk is a school with an almost exclusively queer student body. Many of us have been through a lot in the public school system and yearn for a place where we don't feel like the other. The staff at Harvey Milk are highly educated, and the stigma I once felt when talking about my gender and advocating for myself has disappeared. I speak freely and without judgment or stress, and I am met with respect and most importantly, with kindness. I believe that every teacher can be as educated as mine are. The vocabulary used to respectfully talk with queer youth should be universal vocabulary. Bigotry stems from ignorance, and ignorance stems from fear. Trans kids are not scary. In fact, we ourselves are really afraid. We are afraid of the backlash from our cisgender peers. We are afraid of disappointing our families. We are afraid of being politicized. But these fears can be conquered, and schools can and should be as supportive as mine is. In June 2023, the New York State Department of Education released a legal update and best practices on creating a safe, supportive environment for transgender and gender-expansive students. New York state law has long prohibited discrimination, bullying, and harassment in schools, but this legal update provides a new framework to support trans students so that we can focus on learning friendships and developing passions. The best practices goes through common challenges trans students face in school, addressing everything from names and pronouns to bathrooms and locker rooms, to athletics, to inclusive curricula, to student records. It provides clear examples so that schools have a roadmap for how to support trans youth and to help families and trans students advocate for ourselves, and it shows schools their responsibilities. I urge you all here today to think with trans kids in mind. Schools can be a safe haven for everyone, and especially for those struggling at home. Offering free food, counseling, and tutoring can mean everything for some kids. My school has saved my life and my educational career. The habits my teachers practice and preach create a therapeutic environment that my classmates and I can thrive in. However, the fact that I had to seek out this space for myself is unfair. Every school should be safe for trans kids. In fact, every inch of our city should be safe. I urge you all to use your influence to advocate for us. Continue to advocate for inclusive schools, to create community spaces for trans youth, and most importantly, to use your empathy. Thank you guys for listening.
Sharing your story and advocating on behalf of all the young people, and we'd love to hear all the services that you're receiving in your school. Next, can we hear from Hakima Malam?
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Hakima Malam, and I am a senior at LaGuardia High School. I am also a leader at the Teen Activist Project at the NYCLU. I'm standing here today to speak about the issue of educational inequality, specifically about racial and socioeconomic segregation in our schools. It is our job as a school system to grant access to equal opportunity in order for each individual student to grow and prosper. However, how can we truly expect a student to learn to the best of their ability where they're not even afforded the same opportunities as their more privileged peers? Educational inequity continues to become a blockade to equal opportunity, as it is a clear bias system that targets students that come from a low-income background. This problem has a racial component, as well as since the majority of low-income students in the city are people of color. Many schools in predominantly Black and Hispanic neighborhoods are underfunded, causing a large number of students to not receive the materials that are necessary for their regular scheduled classes. Okay. Growing up in a predominantly Black neighborhood, it was rare to see new textbooks at our disposal, along with desks that weren't torn or scribbled on, even ones without gum under them. Everything I was given from the school was reused, and they were often in such bad condition that I could barely even use them. Until I was able to attend high school in Manhattan, I never experienced the joy of receiving new textbooks or any notebooks at any other supply that were essential to my learning. The problem has had its impact on several students for many years, yet little to no effort has been made in order to resolve this problem. The system unjustly affects individuals living in poverty, and students attending schools in those areas. Because property taxes are much lower in high poverty areas, schools in those areas receive much less funding than those affluent counterparts. In fact, the top quartile of high-need elementary and middle school in NYC serves a student population that is 96% low income. This discrepancy in funding often leaves schools with limited budgets to address a multitude of issues, including teacher shortages, a lack of quality resources for students, and a very unsafe learning environment. How can we all sit here today knowing that many students face a strong barrier that poses a danger to their education? We need to do more to desegregate our schools and strive towards a more equitable system so every student, because this issue will only get worse and affect future generations if we do not act now. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Next up, Odin. Followed by Anya.
Hello everyone, and thank you all for spending time out of your day to listen to what I have to say. My name is Odin Adeller, and I'm a leader with the New York Civil Liberty Union's Teen Activist Project. I'm 16 years old and a junior at Urban Academy Laboratory High School. I'm here today to talk about youth homelessness. This subject hits close to home. I lost my home and my family was evicted on April 3rd of this year. That day, I found out that the marshals came and locked us out by a text message I received from my mom during my lunch break. At that time, I did not know where or if I would sleep on a bed that night. That night, I slept in my dad's office. Thanks to New York City's right to shelter, my family was able to get a room at a shelter the evening of April 4th when we went to the DHS's Prevention Assistance and Temporary Housing Intake Center the day after we got evicted. Fortunately, I was still with my family, but that is not the case for others. That, however, should not restrict youth from getting essential services. One of those essential services needed for people to live a healthy life is healthcare. Until March of 2023, homeless youth and runaway youth had no pathway to receive healthcare because they could not consent to their own healthcare and definitionally did not have parents or guardians available to consent for them. Homeless youth in this context is defined as a person under the age of 18 who is in need of services and is without a place of shelter where supervision and care are available. Runaway youth in this context is defined as a person under the age of 18 who is absent from his or her legal residence without the consent of his or her parents, legal guardian, or custodian. That is why it's important that a law went into effect in March of 2023 that says that all homeless youth, as well as runaway youth who are receiving services at an approved homeless and runaway youth service program, can consent to their own health care if they understand their medical condition and risks and benefits of treatment and alternatives to that treatment. It is important that all youth-serving city agencies know about this law so that their staff can support homeless and runaway youth to get the health care they need. Homelessness is bad enough, so let's make sure we have crucial laws and protections in place so we don't make it worse. Thank you.
Thank you. We were very supportive of that legislation and happy to see it pass. Next, Anya Biggs. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Anya Biggs. Thank you for allowing me to speak here today. I'm a New York native and I'm the co-chair of the NYCLU's Teen Activist Project, who I'm happy is here to join me this year. I'm here today to share my story and highlight the urgent need for the health of our children and the children of New York and their schools for Governor Kathy Hochul to sign the Schools Impacted by Gross Highways and PSI Act into law. It would prohibit the construction of new schools within 500 feet of gross highways and of a major roadway. As a young child, I attended an elementary school in Brooklyn that was directly on top of the Interstate 278 expressway. Our schoolyard and our roadway were disconnected by a single chain link fence. During my time there, I witnessed the devastating effects this had on our community. My memories of elementary school were plagued with witnessing my friends and peers collapse during school or in hallways from asthma attacks. I remember one of my dearest friends who suffered from asthma collapsing on the playground in 3rd grade and being taken to the hospital as we were ushered back inside. Students between the ages of 5 and 15 were always in the know of how to respond to one of their peers having an asthma attack. This should not be the norm. In addition, I thought it was normal for students to carry multiple rescue inhalers and for students to be segregated by those with breathing issues and without during outdoor extracurricular activities. That it was normal to open the gym for recess and for students who couldn't go outside if the air quality was bad enough. And that it was normal for teachers and students to be checking the air quality in the first place. It was only until I got to other higher educations that I realized this was not normal, that my peers whose parents had paid to send them to private universities and institutions had little to no experience with these issues. And until my time working at the NYCLU, I had no idea the extent that the highways we were next to that most of us had used to commute to school were the main source of our issues. I remember where I was when I found out one of my classmates in the grade below me had passed away from an asthma attack. He was in 4th grade. The pain that the parents, teachers, and students at our school had were beyond words. Parents and students alike were unaware that the reason that these unimaginably horrible circumstances were directly next to us all along. They made an engravement bench in his honor and encased his last school project in a glass display in our elementary school, and it was a diagram of a forest. Students outside should not have to attend a school where it is not safe to breathe or regularly go outside, especially students who may not be able to live in areas with good air quality already, specifically predominantly Black and brown students who lived in areas with a lower air quality and that were most impacted by this, both in schools across New York and in my school. The PSY Act passed both in the Assembly and the Senate during the most recent legislative session. It has not yet been signed by Governor Hochul. It was also not the first time it has been on her desk. Before I spoke here last time, she had vetoed the bill on Christmas Eve. And so I ask all of you, and Governor Hochul, how many more children need to be robbed of their health and safety and on occasion life for this bill to be passed? And on behalf of NYCLU and of my fellow students who have already suffered, and for those who will suffer in the future if no action is taken, and for the safety of all current and future students, the PSY Act must be signed into law immediately. And I urge everyone here to contact Governor Hochul's office and urge her to sign it before the year is over and before our time runs out. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up, Andy Zong. And I want to give really a shout out to the New York City Liberties Union. They participate in this every year. They get young people advocating on behalf of other young people. And it's so great to see all of you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andy Zong, and I'm a student here at Francis Lewis High School, as well as an organizer for the New York Civil Liberties Union Teens Activist Project. And I want to first express my gratitude for giving the opportunities to speak with you all about issues that I'm passionate about, especially in regards to my community. I want to address the issue of gentrification, particularly as it relates to Manhattan's Chinatown. Chinatown is not just a neighborhood. It is a cultural stronghold filled with history built by Chinese immigrants. And it is a living testament to resilience in the face of systemic oppression. For generations, it has been a place where families have found sanctuary and have worked tirelessly to build a future, maintaining their tradition despite rising adversity. This neighborhood represents more than just a collection of buildings. It is a community that symbolizes perseverance and the strength of their spirit. But now, this community is facing major threats: the encroaching forces of gentrification and the looming shadow of the mega jail plan. Gentrification is slowly erasing Chinatown's historical significance, as urban infrastructure and luxury developments are forcing out small businesses that have resided here for years. This isn't just an economic shift. It is a representation of cultural extinction. Furthermore, I'm calling on Mayor Eric Adams to stop the recently proposed mega jail plan and to reconsider other alternatives. In 2017, Mayor de Blasio approved an $8.3 billion borough-based jail program that includes building the world's tallest jail in Chinatown. This plan would replace the current Manhattan detention complex with a 40-story jail, which would directly affect the Chinatown community. The construction, which is set to build in 2027, would not only present local businesses with more financial burdens, but it would also increase air and noise pollution, worsening environmental conditions, and negatively impact the residents' qualities of life. Chinatown's history is too valuable to lose, and as it represents the perseverance refugees have enjoyed over the years. We must stand together and protect this neighborhood from forces that threaten its very existence. I am urging everyone to prioritize preserving this community that has offered a home for Asian Americans facing prejudice for generations. And I urge Mayor Eric Adams to redirect the focus of this mega jail plan and to invest in the well-being of our communities, funding education, healthcare, and other opportunities that would uplift the people. We need to invest in people, not jails. Thank you for listening.
Next, Hannah Ira.
Good afternoon. My name is Hannah Ira. I use she, that pronouns. A high school sophomore and a policy manager for the New York Civil Liberties Union's Teen Activist Project. Today, I'm here to address a critical issue I have observed throughout my education in New York City public schools: the lack of LGBTQ plus education and representation in the curriculum. This gap leaves LGBTQ plus students feeling underrepresented and unsupported within the school system. Personally, as a queer student, I have experienced the shortcomings firsthand, and they have had a significant impact on my mental well-being. For example, during my health class, the chapters on LGBTQ plus topics were skipped just because they were deemed unnecessary by the health teacher. This assumption not only invalidates our experience, but also denies students the comprehensive education we deserve. Beyond health education, this exclusion extends across subjects, from history to literature. The curriculum remains predominantly heteronormative, failing to reflect the diversity of identities and experience within our student body. This lack of inclusion perpetuates feelings of invisibility and inadequacy among LGBTQ plus students, which directly affects our sense of belonging and overall mental health. It is the responsibility of New York City Department of Education to ensure that all students receive equal and comprehensive education, one that acknowledges and validates their identities. Furthermore, this continued attacks on gay teachers has to stop, because they're oftentimes the only representation we have inside school. If a straight teacher can display photos of their family in the classroom, a gay teacher should have the same right to share their family with their partners and pets. Additionally, the Regents exam makes no mention of LGBTQ plus movements or contribution, though they include stuff like women rights, as if LGBTQ plus people aren't part of history just as much as cisgender people. The last time I heard the term queer or transgender was in my debate class, where I had to prove why my rights should be respected. I was forced to stand up and argue why they're respected in the first place. The weight of this absence, the constant reminder that my identity is not respected and acknowledged, feels isolating and exhausting. As if I'm invisible, fighting just to be seen, heard, and understood. This lack of representation just isn't an oversight. It's a message that my existence doesn't matter. The impact it has on my mental well-being is profound. We cannot let LGBTQ plus students feel invisible, as if their existence is something that needs to be defended. Every day that goes without inclusive education, without the representation that we need, is another day we're forced to navigate a world that doesn't see us. Our identities are not add-ons that should be discussed only in special moments. They're a vital part of who we are, and we deserve to be acknowledged and in every corner of our education. It is the time for our schools to reflect the richness of our experience. By having LGBTQ+ history and topics in the curriculum, we can create an environment where every student, regardless of their identity, feels empowered, valued, and respected. I urge you all to take actions now, not just for us, but for the future generation. Those who deserve to grow up in a world that honors and respects them fully. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Sharika. Welcome.
Good afternoon to all. First and foremost, I would like to express my gratitude to all those who made it possible for me to be able to speak at this hearing today. It is imperative that voices of those who look like me are heard, and I will ensure to amplify them for as long as I live. My name is Sharika Lucian, and I am a student at the High School of Fashion Industries, as well as a leader from the New York Civil Liberties Union's Teen Activist Project. I come before you all today to discuss a topic that has been affecting students in the state for a very long time: the school-to-prison pipeline, all the baggage that come with it, and what we can do right now to tackle it. The reliance on suspensions and heavy security in schools criminalizes children and sets them up directly for failure. When I was in charter school, Excellence Girls Middle Academy to be exact, my peers would get sent to the dean or be in in-school suspension or out-of-school suspension for things such as getting out of their seat or even slouching in class. My older sister, who goes to a different high school than I do, Uncommon Charter High School, once told me, and this was just a couple days ago, that her friend got suspended for dropping off lunch to another student in another classroom. Suspension seems to be the quick fix to any and every issue, and zero-tolerance policies push kids out of school and straight into prison. Furthermore, the school-to-prison pipeline amplifies police in schools as a quick fix. NYPL studies have shown that 90% of students arrested in NYC schools are Black and Latinx, only making up 66% of the student population, while white students accounted for only 5% of the arrests. Students with disabilities and students of color are also disproportionately affected by this. The school-to-prison pipeline promotes criminalization and incarceration of youth, specifically Black youth. The Memorandum of Understanding, also known as the MOU, is a set of policies intended to limit the ways that police and schools can harm kids and families, but it fails to address everything. We must work to limit the use of handcuffs, metal detectors, and other forms of surveillance and seek improvements to the way the NYPD responds to children in emotional crises. The solution is not suspensions bill will require school codes of conduct to use suspension as a last resort, encouraging the use of restorative justice, which provides support and engaging circles for conflicts in classes between two parties or more so that community building can become a priority. It will limit the use of suspensions for students in K through 3rd to only serious behavior, ensuring the maximum length of suspensions from 180 school days, which is the entire school year, to 20 school days, except when required by federal law. And finally, prohibit suspensions from minor infractions. While this bill is not a cure-all, it does address the misuse of suspensions in our school. On top of passing this bill, we need more guidance counselors, more restorative justice leaders, and more social workers who understand our different backgrounds and walks of life. Not police or harsh deans who take the opportunity to stomp on youth. Schools that focus on education instead of punishment are the biggest benefit to our future and my future. Every student deserves equal opportunities and a healthy environment to thrive in. With enough support and action, we can most definitely make this happen. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your testimony. Next up, and now I'm going to mess this up, but Hakan.
Shock.
Oh, makes it easier. That's good. Next time we'll shorten it, yeah.
Hello everyone, my name is Shafir Samir, and I'm a junior at Leon M. Gould Teen High School for the Scientists. I'm a part of NYCLU's Teen Activist Project, and I'm here to talk about environmental justice. It isn't just an issue of laws or policies. It's about real people, real students, and real families, including mine. One-third of New York students attend a school near a major highway. I am one of them. I went to a middle school just 250 feet away from Bell Parkway, one of the busiest highways in Brooklyn. Now I attend another school just 1/3 of a mile from that same highway. Attending a school near a major highway significantly increases the risk of numerous health issues. Asthma, check. Impaired cognitive function, check. Neurobehavioral dysfunction, check. But the worst part for my parents, lower test scores and lower attendance rates, both massive issues for students in our city. It's not about just me though. It's about the 88% of black and brown students who attend a school near highways and the 66% of students in those schools who are from low-income families. The quality air we breathe and the water we drink should never depend on our skin color, zip code, or wealth. Yet here we are. In New York, those factors far too often determine whether a child grows up healthy or faces a lifetime of health struggles. For years, the Environmental Protection Agency has warned states about the dangers of placing schools within 500 feet of a major highway. The risks aren't hypothetical, they're real. City teens live through them every day. Though I'm fortunate enough to talk about this issue to city officials, many of my classmates who experience the consequences of attending schools near highways can't. Every day that passes without action puts more students at risk of asthma attacks, missed school days, and lifelong challenges. In New York State, we can ensure that no school is ever built under such dangerous conditions. The schools impacted by Gross Highways Act, SI-Act, addresses this issue. It would urge Governor Hochul to sign this act immediately. That's why I urge city officials to step it up and make it a priority to push the governor to sign this landmark act into state law. This legislation is a vital step towards protecting students like me and so many others from pollution that harms our health and limits our potential. Our lives and future should never take a backseat to policy and action, and environmental justice is about preserving people, students, families, and communities who deserve to thrive. New York has the chance to lead the way and show that every child, regardless of their background, deserves clean air to breathe and safe spaces to learn. We cannot wait. We cannot let another student struggle to breathe or miss class because of asthma. Our lawmakers did the right thing by passing this bill, but we still need the governor to sign it. Everyone in this room needs to do their part in urging Governor Hochul to sign this SI-Act, whether it be calling our office nonstop or flooding her inbox. The time to act was yesterday, but we still have time today. Thank you.
Thank you. Xavier?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Xavier Shanaim, and I'm a senior at Humanities Preparatory Academy. I'm also the co-chair of the New York Civil Liberties Union's Teen Activist Project. Being a part of my school's small Latino population, I always felt underrepresented and misunderstood by the adults in the institution. With little to no Latino teachers and students at my school, I rarely saw people that looked like me in my school's community. Despite being in the minority, I did always see that the students receiving more severe punishments and harsher treatment were the Black and Latino students. This is reality for many Black and Latino students in New York City and across the United States. Students of color often face harsher disciplinary measures than their white peers, funneling them into the school-to-prison pipeline, the process by which students are pushed out of school and into the criminal legal system. In New York City, there are over 5,000 officers in public schools. Many of the students that attend these schools also attend schools with metal detectors. These same students are often suspended, arrested, or handcuffed and treated like criminals on their school campuses. How many more students of color have to be arrested or suspended before we decide it's enough? The time for action is now. We must shut down the school-to-prison pipeline and invest in the future of our young people. Some ways to dismantle the pipeline, including add more social workers on campus, incorporating restorative justice approaches, and removing police officers and metal detectors from schools. When we treat students like criminals, this creates an us versus them mentality between school officers and students. As tensions continue to rise, ostracized students' view of school declines. The experience becomes less about learning and more about survival, which promotes further violence and truancy, often leading these same students to end up incarcerated. Is education not meant to give all of the students the opportunity to thrive in their lives, irrespective of background? Yet 90% of in-school arrests are of Black and Latino students, despite them comprising only 66% of the population. What we need is less police, less metal detectors, and to stop treating the next generation like criminals. We need more counselors and social workers to guide the students down the right path and show them that they do have a place in the school system, and that they are deserving of a bright future among everyone. Members of the New York Civil Liberties Union's Teen Activist Project will continue to push for shutting down the school to prison pipeline by advocating for more counselors, less cops, and a restorative justice approach to handling issues in schools. I urge you to do the same. Thank you.
Next up, Udi. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Ume Arshana. I have been an activist at the New York Civil Liberties Union for 2+ years, and this is my testimony on education and equity. Public schools are often evaluated by their reputation, typically based on test scores, graduation rates, and college acceptance statistics. Yet beneath these surface level evaluations lie the cold hard truth. The quality of the public school is all deeply influenced by socioeconomic status, racial and ethnic disparities, and geographic location. These factors basically determine whether a student thrives or struggles in our education system. I'm here to talk about educational inequity. An unequal distribution of quality education, resources, and opportunities that limits students' personal and professional development while also perpetuating systematic inequality. It's a reality that is so blatantly visible in our society, yet too often overlooked in policy making and resource allocation. There seems to be an overlapping idea from the factors I just mentioned. You see, low-income households disproportionately composed of Black and Latino families often reside in under-resourced neighborhoods. In cities like New York, many of these families live in the innermost low-income districts where public schools are directly impacted by the local property tax system. Since school funding is partly determined by property taxes, schools in low-income districts ultimately receive significantly less funding than those in wealthier areas. In fact, according to the Civil Rights Project, schools in New York State remain the most segregated schools for Black students and the second most segregated for Latino students. This then creates a persistent cycle of underfunding that affects the critical aspects of education, such as access to qualified teachers, availability of career counseling, mentorship, and offerings of college-level advanced placement courses, which is KB. Because of this, students from low-income areas often score lower in classes and standardized tests, which directly impacts their chances of getting into college. Massive underfunding in their schools also leads to lack of access to resources that teach essential life skills like financial literacy and nutritional education, which are critical for long-term stability and well-being. Some solutions to take into consideration in order to desegregate our schools include providing an equitable school funding system where resources are allocated based on students' needs rather than being dependent on property taxes. Investing more in teacher development in order to produce highly qualified, well-trained teachers, and offering free pre-elementary school programs dedicated to supporting incoming immigrants and English language learners. We're literally investing in our next generation, and in my opinion, they should be receiving the best education they could get and not have personal and societal factors affecting their academic life. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Galloway. Welcome.
We've heard some brilliant testimonies.
Yes. Wonderful.
Well, good afternoon, y'all. My name is Galloway Dathan. I'm the advocacy manager at the Allie Courtney Center, where we provide life-saving services for LGBTQ+ runaway and homeless youth. Today, I'm here to speak to you about the urgent need for increased funding for runaway and homeless youth, LGBTQ+ shelters, additional beds for 21 to 24-year-old runaway and homeless youth, and specialized training to better support neurodivergent and autistic youth in runaway and homeless youth programs. New York City has long been a beacon for LGBTQ+ individuals seeking refuge in community. However, the harsh reality is that too many LGBTQ+ youth still face homelessness, often fleeing from unsupportive homes or systemic discrimination. And we know that the data shows that 13% of youth that are LGBTQ+ are runaway homeless youth. The existing RHY shelters are stretched far too thin to meet these demands, specifically for the LGBTQ+ shelters like the Alley Forney Center. Experience waitlists of dozens of youth and young adults who have nowhere to go. We urgently need to increase funding to expand the capacity to ensure every young person seeking help has a safe and affirming space to rest their head. Equally pressing is the need to address the gaps in services for the aged adults from 21 to 24. This age group often falls through the cracks of traditional youth services. Many are still navigating the transitions from adolescence to adulthood, compounded by the traumas of homelessness and systemic barriers. So expanding the availability of beds for this age group is not only just a matter of practicality, but it's of equity. Without targeted support, these young adults are at heightened risk of falling into chronic homelessness. And we have consistent patterns of wait lists for this age population, especially the last 2 years with an increasing number of asylum seekers. And we know that the upcoming executive leadership can change more youth coming to seek services for New York City. So can DYCD work with RHY providers to provide a coordination with more beds to become available online for that age population? Finally, I want to emphasize the need for RHY staff training to meet the problematic needs of neurodivergent and autistic youth. These young people are not just present in our shelters, they are thriving when given the right tools and support. However, many programs lack the training to create inclusive environments that truly understand these needs. We need funding not just for training, but also for adapting our spaces, communication methods, and interventions to honor neurodivergent and autistic experiences. DYCD has a critical role in ensuring no youth is left behind. By increasing funding, expanding beds for 21 to 24-year-olds, and providing staff for training to support neurodivergent and autistic clients, we can set a new standard of care for homeless youth services here in New York City. I urge you to prioritize these investments in the next funding cycle. Thank you for your time and commitment to the well-being of our city's youth, and I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Also from Alley Forney, Kaja? Did I pronounce that right?
Hello, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Kaja, a she. I'm a member of the Youth Leadership and Advocacy Program at Alley Forney Center. And thank you for your time, everyone. I'm here to address the critical issues within like DYCD's Department of Runaway and Homeless Youth and the community that they serve. And my focus today is on suggesting to adopt a more holistic approach to effectively meet the needs of the youth that we serve. So the first point is about mental health program and specifically a shelter solution for individuals with mental health challenges. Access to mental health services has to improve, and there should be like at least a mental health provider for every like 10 clients that are served. And there's usually a gap with the overnight, like it's usually harder to access mental health services later in the day. And this like leads to like a glaring gap in emergencies and leads to like an over-reliance on NYPD, which often leads to unsafe outcomes. So like definitely having a dedicated housing and also program for them. The second is system coordination in general, is that they increase the efficiency of the work that UIC does. In terms of strengthening their collaborations with other agencies. New York City has over 17,000 properties between DCAS and HPD and NYC, EDC, and DYCD should be collaborating with them to leverage the city-owned properties to expand shelter capacity and services, and seamless and intentional interdepartmental coordination will help address the interconnected challenges like housing, education, employment, and health of the runaway and homeless youth. DYCD should also be collaborating with like CUNY, DOE, HUD, HRA, DHS, and the Department of Corrections, as well as the foster system and Department of Labor. Because we know that like runaway and homeless youth are more likely to be affected by under and unemployment, corrections, and over 40% of runaway and homeless youth are LGBT. Over 50% of over 21 are being addressed currently. And there's like a lot of very simple things that other organizations serve but they are collaborating with USCB. Finally, the biggest thing is like targeted funding for LGBT shelters. Again, 40% of runaway and homeless youth are LGBT and have specific needs in terms of their safety and security, especially when engaging with services with places that aren't affirming. So just to continue the idea of system coordination and understanding that homeless youth have a lot of connected challenges and addressing those challenges with other departments that to like decrease bureaucracy and increase the efficiency in the services. Yeah, again, thank you for your time, and I just encourage more collaboration with other organizations and increasing efficiency with a holistic approach to all the services that we need. Thank you.
Google shot a great video to get young people civically engaged.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. I just want to shout out everyone who spoke before me. We've heard a lot of great testimonies this evening. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bube Women. He, him pronouns. I'm a youth advocate and activist across New York City. I currently serve as the Youth Engagement Officer on the YCB's Youth Board and the Director of Communications and Social Media on NYC Youth Agenda. Passion project on my mind this evening is definitely a passion project on my mind this evening is definitely economic mobility and civic engagement among young people in New York City. It's something that we've been working on alongside UICD and Eduardo, members of the ICC team, since the summer, where we are working to engage young people civically and give them information concerning civic engagement in New York City. In my work with youth agenda as well, it's also focusing on economic mobility. The UICD has done a great job for economic mobility when it comes to like summer youth employment program among young people in New York City. When I started my work with the youth agenda, SYP was around hiring around 76,000 young people in New York City. But then over the past years, coming from this summer, it's definitely well over 100,000 young people getting hired in New York City for SYP. So that's a good job, but there's definitely a lot to do. There's a lot of young people who still don't have jobs in the summer who want that. So definitely urging us to support young people, and the goal is to be able to give every young person who wants a job, to give them the opportunity to have a job in the summer. Following my graduation from NYU this past August, I also picked up a fellowship at the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, where we created a mental health youth council to support young people in New York City who have mental health needs. This youth council is actually progress from some of the work from the youth agenda, where we advocated and brought this issue to policymakers for there to be a council supporting mental health specifically for young people in New York City. So I urge everyone to keep supporting us, give young people an opportunity, give young people the chance. I shout out people who have taken the opportunity and taken a chance on me as well. Not to pat myself on the back, but I think they haven't regretted it. So I'm giving young people in your organization that same opportunity, that same chance, in order to give others the voice, in order to be a representation of young people in society, is definitely imperative in the work that we do. If you ask me a way that you can support us and the work that we do, easy ways to follow us on Instagram at the NYC Youth Agenda. There's a lot of work that we are doing in advocating for young people in New York City, and hopefully keep seeing you all around as the work keeps going on. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ebony McClellan. My pronouns are she, her, they, them, and I'm here to speak on the importance of peer navigators and paid opportunities for youth involvement. As someone who personally navigated the shelter system, I'm passionate about advocating for the improvements that can truly make a difference. My first proposal is that we create paid opportunities for youth involvement and program development. Youth who have experienced homelessness or are currently in the shelter system have essential insights into what works and what doesn't work. By paying them for their involvement in the program development, we not only empower them, but we create a system that is more reflective of the real needs of the community it serves. As a client at the Ali Florney Center, I had the chance to advocate for others, and it made me realize how eager many of us are to contribute to creating better systems. But we need more than just the opportunities. We need the resources and the recognition for our voices to be heard. Paying youth for their participation will attract more engagement, incentivize active participation, and ensure that those who have lived experience can be part of the solution. Secondly, I would like to propose the reinstatement of peer navigators or something similar in the shelter system. The Ali Florney Center loss of peer navigators in 2022 to 2023 is a significant blow to the support system. Peer navigators offers guidance, support, and advocacy to individuals who are facing the same challenges they once did. They bridge the gap between staff and clients and provide a sense of relatability that is often missing from traditional case management. Data from the Ali Florney Center has shown that when peer navigators were in place, clients felt more connected and supported. Peer navigators were often able to help individuals with everything from navigating the shelter system to accessing mental health services or finding housing opportunities. By bringing back this model, we can provide a more compassionate and effective form of support for those in crisis.
Thank you, Ebony. And that would take that back to the team in your opinion, and also in terms of other ways to have an impact on programming. Anita oversees our neighborhood advisory boards, and we're always looking for young people to join our board. So after this meeting, you might want to talk to Anita.
We have information on the table also.
Ashley?
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Ashley Adams. I'm the Deputy Director of Drama Club. Our mission is to consistently care for youth who are incarcerated or court involved by creating a space for them to thrive using improv as their guide. We would have loved to have youth representation here. I'm so moved by all the youth who have spoken, but most of our youth are incarcerated right now, or if they are court involved, they're not necessarily interested at this time in being identified publicly in that way. So here I am. Drama Club has three main pillars of programming. Our foundational one is our confinement program, where we bring our arts programming behind bars. We have communities programming where we kind of strategically place our programming in areas with the zip codes where most of the youth who are incarcerated come from. And then we have a really thriving apprentice program where youth who are court involved or who we work with on the inside upon release can continue working with us in a paid capacity, gain life skills, be a youth advocate, and continue advocating for the youth in terms of theater arts and storytelling. To share with you some challenges that we're facing right now, there is a huge increase in the number of incarcerated youth, and the system is really stretched thin, and we're struggling to meet an increasing need for this population. We've been told that right now there are more youth than beds in some facilities. While there was a commitment to allocate $800 million to raise the age and support justice reform, it seems that this funding hasn't been realized all the way, and this shortfall really needs to be addressed urgently. Additionally, funding for services has been significantly reduced over the years. Under Mayor de Blasio's administration, there was a dedicated budget for youth programming behind bars, but once he left, these fundings were cut. And this elimination of a mandate for daily programming for young adults that used to be in place has also created a huge gap and exacerbated the need for services. Currently, there has also been a $17 million cut to the programming budget, even on Rikers Island for the young people there. And when we do have contracts with facilities, we are only paid at a fraction of our costs, which makes it really hard for us to meet that increasing need. Given that incarcerated youth population has surged, the question really that we're wanting the answers to are, what are the current numbers? How is this spike being addressed? Because it's really crucial that we have really clear, honest data so that we know what to do next. We are urgently in need of more funding allocated directly to service providers because the existing funding structure just really is insufficient and isn't meeting the needs of the incarcerated youth. I implore us all to really make sure that we're putting our focus on the youth who are not among us in society because their voices are just as important. I'd be thrilled to partner with any of you at any point of continuum of care, whether it's prevention, I'm looking at you, Department of Probation, whether it's intervention, reintegration into society. I have cards with me. We have a performance next week where you can see the work of our young people, and I even have our annual impact report, which I'd be happy to share with you in digital form so you can do it on your own time. Thank you.
Yeah, please share that.
Yeah.
And we're actually running to have a part of the incident of offering after school programs during the juvenile detention system. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there anybody else present here that wants to speak and did not have an opportunity to speak?
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Alvarado, and I am Chief Executive and Chief Operations Officer of BWISE NYC. And we had a large group of young people that would have loved to be present today. However, since we were unable to carry out our funds throughout the last fiscal year into this new fiscal year that started on July 1st, we cannot support them to be present here today. So I've had the privilege and honor of serving at multiple capacities through different agencies and organizations in New York City. As a son of the South Bronx, born and raised in New York City, for 16 high school graduation seasons. And through BWISE NYC, which stands for Nurture Your Community, we have been able to provide workforce development through career and academic exploration to young people, high risk, at-risk youth here in New York City, primarily in the Bronx and in East Harlem. And so our major request, and I want to start off with the good part of the sandwich, right? The compliment is that we are profoundly grateful for the opportunities through BYCD and through the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice, Office of Neighborhood Safety, that created because of a room of young people who decided to come together and create the Anti-Gun Violence Employment Program, which then was added on to with the Work, Learn, Grow program through BYCD. These opportunities have allowed us to service roughly about 50 to 60 young people just in the past 3 fiscal years. And the biggest issue we have, though, is the profound nature and detriment of the current procurement process. It pits smaller nonprofits against these larger nonprofits, and it just doesn't work. Doesn't work at all. We were issued award letters back in June of this year, and we have yet to have our contracts registered. And so we're operating without being able to pay our bills and still serving these young people. And our young people are desperately asking us every day, when is program going to start, when we have not gotten the clearance to serve them. And so we're calling for a total reevaluation and reassessment of the current procurement process through the Mayor's Office of the Mayor's Office of Contract Services and the Comptroller's Office. We need some type of accountability and answers. We need someone to be able to reach and see what's happening with our processes. DYCD has been phenomenal in this transition from Mach J, Mach S into DYCD. The capacity is definitely there, but they have no knowledge of the crisis management system that I've been operating in for over a decade, and they have no idea of the real problems we're having for smaller agencies and organizations. Thank you.
I hear you. And after this meeting, we can sit down and discuss your organization and we find out exactly where your contracts are.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And then we're going to go online. Safe Alam.
It's actually Saif Alam. That's actually my name. But thank you so much, everyone. And everyone, it's a pleasure hearing your testimony today. So my name is Saif Alam. I'm actually the New York City Youth Board member Previously as well, I was the CUNY University Student Senate member, representing CUNY students with disabilities. So I can understand from the perspective about employment opportunities is pretty important for our young people with disabilities, especially with youth with disabilities. So employment opportunities for youth, including youth with disabilities, are essential to our city's economy. Expanding methods of requesting accommodations for youth with disabilities is essential to ensure that they receive the support needed to succeed in the workforce and our society. So based on the New York City Transition Report, only 15.5% of youths with disabilities are employed in New York. So I urge stakeholders to invest in services for youths with disabilities such as assistive technology, training providers who can better guide our youths with disabilities and their families to request for accommodations, such as adjustment to work schedules, sign language interpreters. For the future years, I ask the stakeholders to consider collaborating more with the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities, with vendors such as Artwork and LEADS program to increase job placement for our high school and college youth with disabilities. So we should expand opportunities for both high school and college alumni to expand employment rate for the community so they can become financially and socially independent as after they join the workforce, because I can say is independence is one of the most important things for our young people with disabilities. We want them to thrive. We want them to have that equal opportunities as their counterparts without a disability, so they can be able to thrive in our economy. As well, I want to add on is that during the pandemic, we expanded the age to 24. But I want to say that we have like people with master's degrees, like young people who are struggling with student debt and possibly potentially increasing the services to age 30. The reason why I say that is if we have that opportunity for people up to age 30, they can be able to pay off their student loans. And I know that there's student loan forgiveness programs. So I would maybe ask the stakeholders to consider expanding that, especially those with professional degrees who are maybe graduates from law school or medical degrees as well. If we have that expanded for them, then they'll be able to thrive in our economy. So that's I want to conclude my testimony, and I'm looking forward to working with you guys in the coming years to make sure that this is a possibility.
Thank you, Saeed. Is there anyone else online that would like to testify? If so, please use the raise hand feature.
See, yes, I would like to. Hold on. Yes, I would like to. Yeah, raise hand. Yeah.
We hear you though, so you can testify. Go ahead. You're muted.
Okay, hold on. Can I testify?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Lisa Bresloff. I'm president of the New York State Marine Education Association. And we are working with DYCD for our coastal cleanup programs. But also we want to work with DYCD in the area of academic exploration, to workforce development in the area of marine science jobs. And we will be having our conference May 3rd, 2025, with a panel discussion, including DYCD on the panel and others, to talk about jobs in the workforce, in the marine science workforce, where students who are graduating high school or who are in high school can look for internships and scholarships in real job areas in the sector of energy, like in windmill construction and the wind energy sector, as well as climate sector. And so we want to let students know, even the ones graduating from college, that DYCD does provide funds to take courses, internships, scholarships, and also to pay for college courses. And so our organization will be working more with DYCD in this area to bring more students into the marine science job opportunities, because that's what's really coming online now in New York City, jobs in this area, and few people know about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa.
Hi, I was hoping you could hear me before I start.
We can, yes.
Great, great, great. Good afternoon. My name is Andrew Windsor, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to testify today with the Interagency Coordinating Council on Youth. I'm honored to testify in my personal capacity, sharing reflections from over a decade of civic involvement. I'm currently serving as the recently elected chairperson of Brooklyn Neighborhood Advisory Board 11, working alongside the Department of Youth and Community Development. But at 27 years old, I've been out of New York City's public school system for nearly a decade, having gone on to attend CUNY and law school. However, my dedication to youth advocacy began long before, as a member of my high school leadership team and as a high school representative on the local Community Education Council school board. Later, I joined Brooklyn Community Board 11, where I've been actively involved since graduating high school, and I now serve as secretary of the board. And I hope that my past experiences and continued involvement remain relevant to the critical discussions advocating for the youth of New York City. Throughout my decade of involvement in civic matters, I've witnessed a critical need for greater youth participation in community roles. However, this gap is not due to a lack of interest, but rather a lack of access and awareness. To address this, community organizations must engage directly with students in schools, inspiring them to take on an active role in shaping their neighborhoods. This effort should include arts, educational, and sports programs to provide meaningful opportunities for students beyond their usual extracurricular activities. Equipping the next generation with the tools and platforms to participate in civic life ensures that their voices are heard and that they contribute to building stronger, more inclusive communities. It is through intentional outreach and collaboration with schools that we can foster this engagement and create a pipeline of future leaders ready to advocate for their neighborhoods. My neighborhoods, Brooklyn Community District 11 represents the communities of Bath Beach, Bensonhurst, and Gravesend in southern Brooklyn. These neighborhoods are predominantly working class communities, which rely heavily on equitable distribution of community service block grants administered by DYCD. And these are essential for addressing poverty and strengthening community resources. The data we collected from our 2023 Community Needs Assessment Survey underscored the growing demand for both youth-related services in southern Brooklyn. Compared to the rest of New York City, Brooklyn neighborhoods face higher rates of unmet needs in education, employment services, and youth programs. These disparities highlight the unique challenges encountered by working-class families in our borough. For instance, Brooklyn respondents frequently noted significant gaps in youth after-school programs and resources for families navigating public systems. Addressing these disparities requires targeted, sustained efforts to ensure equitable access to essential services. DYCD plays a vital role in addressing these needs through its programs, including Beacon, which provides after-school and summer programs for children and families. And as a former camp counselor for K-5 students, and as an administrative assistant for high school educators, I've seen firsthand how these programs foster safe and supportive environments for working class families. They not only offer educational and recreational opportunities, but also strengthen community bonds and create lasting connections among students. However, also since the pandemic, we've also observed a troubling trend. Many graduates of New York City public schools from the last decade no longer live in these neighborhoods or have moved out of New York City entirely. This migration may have contributed to a decline in lifelong residents and a significant drop in New York's census population. These trends highlight the urgent need to create alternative income pathways for younger populations, including college readiness programs and the expansion of trade school opportunities. Additionally, we have identified a pressing need for small business support, which aligns closely with youth career readiness. By fostering young entrepreneurs and offering pathways for their success, we can not only support individuals, but also bolster the economic stability and growth of our neighborhoods. Small businesses are the backbone of our communities, and empowering the next generation to engage in entrepreneurship can drive local innovation and resilience. Studies have demonstrated that initiatives focused on poverty alleviation, career readiness, and small business support can collectively reduce crime and foster a sense of pride and connection with the neighborhoods. By addressing these areas, we can retain lifelong residents, attract new ones, and ensure that New York City remains a vibrant, thriving place to live and work. In essence, we have found the importance of fostering equitable opportunities for Southern Brooklyn's youth by supporting the working class communities they come from, by increasing initiatives like youth-focused services, enhancing after-school programs such as Beacon, and inspiring civic engagement among students. We can create pathways for growth and resilience. Additionally, strengthening small business support and nurturing young entrepreneurs can help weave a fabric of economic opportunity that uplifts our neighborhoods and ensures their vitality. Together, these efforts reflect a collective commitment to a brighter future for those growing up and calling our communities home. Again, thank you for the opportunity to testify today. I look forward to continue to advocate for the youth of New York City and to meet the needs of our neighbors. Thank you again.
Appreciate it. Is there anyone else that wants to testify that does not have the opportunity to testify?
I would like to.
Okay, Rosalind.
Hello, my name is Rosalind Anya. This is my second year attending. I just want to thank for this opportunity to speak. Being somebody that is a Black woman, our voices are important to be amplified, but I speak today as somebody who was formerly homeless. It's now been a year and a half. I've gone in and out of the sheltering program, came out of Covenant Housing, and I'm here to stand today, 2 years almost free of being homeless, and also being a part of the Manhattan 10 Neighborhood Advisory Board, as well as a Freedom Socialist Party member. And so really played my experiences being homeless in college did really play a path into my social activism and my advocacy. And so I'm grateful for being part of the Neighborhood Advisory Board and really just championing the youth and understanding the ties with socialism and how we can support the youth. And so I stand today also being a policy advisory board member out of DC for youth homelessness. And so today, essentially, my conversation is about education. I think across the board in today's conversation, education community is something that's very important and integral into communication, interactions with family, with society, norms. I think in regards to the conversation where I am as a reading interventionist, working at Achievement School Prep, while it is a charter school, and I know there's been an ongoing discourse of private, public versus charter, and I think really with today's testimonies across the board, education is where the lack of funding is. And I think there is a lot of listening, but are we actually listening? I think it was great to hear the amplification of Gen Z voices, me and myself being a Gen Z. And I think the youth does need more support and things like reading, which the staggering data across the US shows how reading is something that's really difficult for the youth at this moment. And I think the situation of COVID did not help, but I think in regards to rectifying that, there has to be a listening opportunity and action to support the youth and create more demands to listen and to work with community integration to allow those opportunities for growth. As an educator and as somebody who loves education and was able to use education as a way to remove myself from homelessness being in college, I think there needs to be more educational opportunities to not only help the youth, but more funding as well, and just more amplifying youth voices.
Is there anyone else? If not, I want to thank everybody for the fantastic testimony we heard. I also want to thank our agency reps for coming. Every year, and the DYCD team is always pulling this off. Let's see if we can have those.